Hey, this is AJ here for Techsplained, and today we're going to be talking about phishing. No, not that kind of phishing, the other kind of phishing. So how can you spot phishing, and how can you protect yourself from it? So, let's get started. So what is phishing? Well, phishing is a term given to a fraudulent piece of communication from a person pretending to be a person or a company that they are actually not. This could be to attempt to gather information, money, or otherwise extort you. This could be in the form of an email, a text message, a phone call, or even a malicious advert on a website. Quite often, these will claim to be from places like your bank, or an online store, social media, a streaming service, an antivirus provider, a company or person that you deal with, and I've even seen some that claim to be from the government. But we'll show you some examples on these later. So how can you spot a phishing message? Well, surprisingly, there are many different ways that you can spot these. Let's look at them in a little bit more detail. The first is the way that you've received the communication. One of the most common ways of phishing is by email, and there are a few different ways that this is done, such as domain impersonation. In this case, people will send an email from an address appearing to be from a company or someone who you know. In this example, the email addresses are nearly identical. However, one is real and the other one is fake. Domain impersonation can be easily spotted just by having a look at the email address that the email has come from. The domain part to an email address is anything after the @. This is usually the company's official website, and this can also usually be found by searching for the company on any search engine. However, this may not always be the case, as some companies may have multiple domains for their emails. The best way to be able to check this is to be able to contact the company by advertised means, such as their website, and you should be able to ask them for their list of aliases that they will email from. Some websites may even list all of the email addresses that you may receive communications through. However, as a way to be able to get around this, some phishers use a method known as email spoofing. This makes it look like an email has come from an actual person without it actually coming from that person. If these types of email arrive in your inbox, these will be much harder to be able to tell. However, the majority of email providers will see that these emails have not come from the official server for that domain and put these emails into your junk folder. In these cases, it's always best to speak with someone at the actual company to see if anyone's tried to contact you. You can do this by searching for the phone number on the company's official website, and not through any of the phone numbers advertised in the email you have received. Another method of email spoofing to avoid spam filters is that of name spoofing. Name spoofing is a method by which an email will come from an email address completely different to the person or company which they are impersonating. However, in these cases, the name which is shown when receiving the email will be that of the person or company who they are impersonating, or even the actual email address of the person or company. This avoids most spam filters, as the email address is actually a valid one, just not that of the person or company who they are impersonating. However, it is very easy to be able to see this real email address just by clicking, tapping, or hovering over the name of the person you have received the email from. Another method of email phishing is that of account takeover phishing, where an individual or a company have already suffered an attack on their emails, and their emails are already compromised, meaning that a person could be sat inside their email accounts, watching the emails they receive and send, and even sending emails on their behalf without their knowledge. The reason that this is the hardest to spot is that any emails received from any compromised accounts have actually come directly from those people. This is why we need to look at more clues on how to spot email phishing, as in 2019, a study found that 29% of businesses had suffered an account takeover based attack in only a 30-day period. Another common method of phishing is by phone, where a person may call you claiming to be calling on behalf of an individual or company when they are actually not. This is also known as spam calling. In these cases, these individuals may be attempting to capture information to be able to access your real accounts for those companies, or they also may be attempting to capture other information, such as your banking information, or they may be attempting to just gain access to your computer to perform other malicious activities, such as being able to record or gain access to your bank account, or just delete all of your files. If you want to find out more about computer-based attacks such as these, I recommend checking out the videos of Scammer Payback. I'll leave a link down to his channel down in the description. If you receive a phone call from a company who you deal with, and you're not expecting that call, I always recommend doing a reverse security check. For example, if they're claiming to be from your bank, ask for the last 4 digits of your card. If they cannot provide verification for you, tell them that you'll call back to a number listed on their website. And if they're claiming to call from an antivirus provider, ask for things such as the model of computer, the license key, or even the email address registered to the account. If they can't provide any of this information, put the phone down and call back on a registered phone number for that provider. I once received a phone call claiming to be from BT, saying that my Windows computer had a virus. There was only a few problems with this. I wasn't with BT, and I didn't have a Windows computer. I was with Sky, and I had Mac and Linux computers. But also, why would BT be calling me saying that I had a virus? So I just put the phone down. As a general rule, unless you're with an IT service provider, such as One to Call, there should be no reason why anyone would call you about a virus being on your computer. And also, companies such as banks will have strict rules about reasons why they will call you. All of these will usually be listed on their website. Another method of phishing, text message-based phishing, has also seen a rise in recent years, as it's become much more common for companies to send out alerts and marketing messages via SMS. As such, text message-based phishing has also seen a rise. One thing to look out for with this, although this isn't always guaranteed, is if the messages come from a mobile number, as usually, companies will send messages from a shortcode, such as 808080, or even from their company name. Unfortunately, as name generating and number generating have become much more popular for companies marketing via SMS, they've also become much more widely available for phishers too, meaning that a phisher can send out a message to people pretending to be from Best Banking or from PayPal. This is why it's important to be vigilant of the content of the messages we're receiving, whether they're by email, phone, or also by text message. So let's look at some of the other signs we should be looking out for. Quite often, when reading a phishing email, you'll be able to tell just from the language of the communication you've received that just something doesn't seem right. This could be spelling errors, grammatical errors, or even something as simple as the font changing. If claiming to have come from someone you email quite often, you may be able to tell from just the way the email is worded, or what they are requesting, or even the structure, such as a missing email footer. However, in the case of attack-based phishing, where a potential attacker could be sat in someone's account for a long time, learning their language and communication style, this could be a lot harder to be able to monitor. For example, if your colleague, say his name is John, has had their account compromised and they're not aware, someone could be sat in their account monitoring their sent emails, learning John's language style so that they can send convincing emails as John. Another method a potential attacker may use is to make the emails look legitimate, to make them look like they have come from the company they are impersonating. This will usually be with the use of branding and colour schemes. For example, you may receive an email claiming to have come from Microsoft, or an antivirus provider, or another company asking you to log in or validate your account credentials, reset your password, or even saying that you've got a virus. You may even be guided to a web page that looks legitimate at first glance. However, the web address will not be legitimate. We'll give you some advice on what to look for with that later. In the vast majority of cases, this is to attempt to capture your login information. You'll be sent to a page that looks like it's for logging into your account, you'll input your information, and then you'll be told that your login credentials were incorrect. And then you'll be forwarded to the actual legitimate login page. Most people will think that the password that they've entered is incorrect. Maybe they missed out a character, or mistyped a number or letter. Whereas in actual fact, all of this information has been forwarded to a potential attacker to access your real account. Another thing to look out for is if someone is requesting for a payment or a change in bank account details. Always follow this up with a phone call to the person or to the company in question to ensure that they have requested for this information to be changed. Some scammers will also use extortion as a way to scare people to handing over money. They will use known information as leverage to be able to get people to pay a sum of money. For example, some scammers may access email addresses and passwords from past data breaches on the dark web, and they will email people directly, usually using a fake email address themselves, and extort people in exchange for not accessing certain accounts, or even holding accounts at ransom in exchange for a sum of money. If you want to find out more about dark web scanning and password security, check out a video that we did that's linked down in the description. Another form of this is what's called sextortion, where an attacker will claim to have intimate photos or videos of someone from their computer, and is threatening to send these to a person's contacts or even to a website, and will only not do so in exchange for a ransom amount. Another potential way scammers will target people in a phishing attack is usually with fake attachments. These will usually be in the form of a fake PDF or fake document. The reason that they do this is that some basic spam filters do not scan all documents, so that they can place links in these documents to say view now, where they will guide you to a website to be able to sign in to view the document, whereas in actual fact they are just capturing your information. When you receive a link inside any form of communication, whether this be an email, a text message, or even inside a document, always scrutinize where it is sending you, as even though these addresses may look legitimate and they are guiding you to a page which looks legitimate, it could just be another way to capture your information. So how can you spot a fake link from a real link? Let's look at an example. There are four main parts which you should be considering: the security, the subdomain, the domain, and the slug. Let's look at these in a little bit more detail. Let's start with security. Secure websites will start with an address with HTTPS. Many browsers will show a little lock symbol inside the address bar. Almost all websites that ask you to log in using any kind of login credentials will have a HTTPS address. These will be things such as your social media, online banking, online shopping, and many more. The subdomain is anything before the primary domain of the website. In this case, the subdomain is PayPal. The domain is the primary part of the address. For ourselves, it is 12call.net. In this example, it is mycompany.co. And the slug is anything after the primary domain. In this example, it is /login. The first and most important thing that everyone should consider is that anyone who owns any domain can create any subdomain and slug that they like and call it anything that they want. If we wanted to, we could create the address paypal.onetocall.net/login. Just because a web address contains a subdomain or slug which contains the name of another company, such as PayPal, it does not make it legitimate as a PayPal link. The most important part of any address is the domain. In our example here, it is mycompany.co. This part of the address will tell you if you're being guided to the website you're expecting. For example, if PayPal are emailing you, you would expect any legitimate links to contain paypal.com as the domain, not paypal.co, not paypal.xyz, not paypal.cz, or anything else. Similar to subdomains and slugs, these domain extensions, such as .co or .xyz, may not always be legitimate. Potential attackers will always try to purchase similar domains, such as paypal.co or .uk or .bank, to be able to use in future potential attacks. Many people don't know this, but you can actually check who the owner of a domain is by going to websites such as whois.com/whois. Many major companies, such as banks, social media companies, online stores, and so on, won't hide this information, so you can prove that they are the owners of the domain. The only exception to these guidelines will be short addresses, such as Bitly, or websites which use their own short address system. However, you will still be guided to the full address for you to be able to check its legitimacy. Just remember that with short address providers, such as Bitly, people can still create their own slug, so these addresses may still not be legitimate. Let's have a look at some examples of some phishing messages that we've seen in recent months, and we'll point out some of the points we've discussed in this video. In this first example, you can see that the supposed company name is in the subdomain section of the address. The domain part of the address is not for the company, and the slug references the message's subject. In this second example, the message reads as being informative. However, the address does not contain any reference to the supposed company. And in this third example, the supposed company is in both the subdomain and the slug of the address, and the domain references the message subject, however it is not for the company in question. So what do potential attackers do with this information? Well, if they gain access to your accounts, they could potentially purchase things in your name, reset your passwords, or even monitor your emails and impersonate you. For businesses, this could be very dangerous, as potential attackers could target clients or customers, asking for payment or rerouting money to another bank account. They could even start a new attack from your email address, targeting clients and customers. Or they could also target other accounts which you use the same credentials for. So how can you protect yourself from phishing emails? Well, of course, the first thing you can do is keep an eye out for all of the things we've discussed in this video. Secondly, we recommend you check out our videos in the description about password security and two-factor authentication to make sure that you can keep your accounts as secure as possible. However, if you want to go that one step further to protect you and your business, you could look into active email threat prevention. One2Call's active email threat prevention uses artificial intelligence-based real-time monitoring to check the legitimacy of any email you receive and even quarantine spam and potentially risky emails. It can also identify potentially high-risk members of your business who could be the target of cyber attacks and prevent against account takeover. And with our fully managed service, we can be alerted about any potential attacks or threats against any of your users. And when combined with our dark web monitoring, you can be alerted about any password leaks on the dark web, so that we can act with you as quickly as possible to secure your accounts. If you feel that either or both of these services would be useful, contact any of our consultants. And if you mention this video, you can also get a free dark web scan for your business, and also a free mailbox security scan to identify any potential threats. But what about phishing phone calls? Well, it's a lot harder to be able to police this. However, we do recommend registering for TPS Online, the UK's official Do Not Call register. Once on this register, it will highly restrict what companies can call you with unsolicited calls, and you can even report numbers through their complaints handling service. Well, that about covers it. Hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you have, please give the video a like, and also consider sharing it with your friends, family and colleagues to see if they'll find it useful also. Also, hit subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified about future videos, such as more of our Tech-Explained videos and our shorter Tech Bites videos. Until then though, see you soon!